What's up guys, Arain here. So ironically the Google Pixel 5 is not too far off. I know, considering that the 4a is not even out yet, it's weird to say that we're going to be getting another flagship phone from Google pretty soon. But it's true, and in this video I kind of wanted to go over some of the rumors I've been reading about and also kind of hit on some of the things that I wish or hope that Google changes with the Pixel 5 to make it an overall better phone for consumers and an overall better selling phone for Google themselves. So without further ado, let's get started. So first, let's hit off with what the release date of this phone is probably going to be. And if the track record of Google is any indication, it's going to be sometime in mid to late October. Google announced the Pixel 4 at an October 15th event to ship the phone a couple of days later, about 9 days later after that. And that event was only a week later than when they announced the Pixel 3 back in 2018. So you can see that Google has kind of a pattern in when it releases its flagship phones. I think that October date probably will still stand. Now, keep in mind that the virus outbreak is definitely impacting a lot of these companies from releasing on a normal release schedule or releasing in a normal released way. But I think Google definitely wants to get ahead of that holiday shopping season, whatever that's going to look like this year. And they want to make sure that their Pixel phones are in store as an option for people looking to upgrade or dive into a flagship phone in 2020. Talking about selling, let's talk about the price. Now, there isn't any kind of speculation or rumor yet about the price of the Pixel 5, but if you look again at Google's track record, the Pixel 4 came out at $799 and the XL came out at $899 respectively, and the Pixel 3 did the exact same thing. So it only serves to form that Google's probably going to be following that same pricing structure and releasing the Pixel around the same price. Now, there are some rumors out there, especially considering the newest rumors that were released about the Pixel 4a, that Google's looking to kind of undercut the price of that phone to make it a better option and kind of compete a little bit better with the iPhone that's currently out. Maybe they're going to undercut the price of their Pixel 5 as well. Personally, I'm in the camp of undercutting. I've never believed that a phone should cost $1,000. There's really no reason for it. So I don't think they should up the price. A lot of people are saying maybe they're going to hit that $999 price point with a different variant that they released with the Google Pixel 5. I'm hoping they go in the opposite direction. I'm hoping that they reduce the price to undercut some of the more expensive phones that are coming out, especially considering the state of our economy. It would make sense for Google to kind of see what they can still profit as, but still kind of reduce the price. That $799 to $899 price is still a good price point. I don't want them to go up from that, but if they can go down to $650 or $699, I think that would serve the consumers a lot better. Now, when we're talking camera-wise, which is, again, I always say it, arguably the most important part of a mobile device nowadays, there was some recent leaked renders that kind of showed that the Google Pixel 5 was going with a 3-camera setup, which would be beneficial. The Google Pixel 4 didn't have a wide-angle camera view, and I think that was missing. A lot of people like taking wide-angle camera pictures, and I think it's become a staple mark in basically any phone that you purchase. You know, the iPhone, the OnePlus phones, the Samsung phones, all of them have some kind of wide-angle shooter, and the Pixel chose to go in the opposite direction. I think that they learned from their mistake, and with the Pixel 5, you're going to be seeing a basic or ordinary camera setup that we're kind of used to on the other phones with a wide-angle camera kind of thrown in. And I think with Google's track record of taking really great pictures and having some amazing camera technology in their phones, coupled with their computational software, I think it's going to go a lot better for them this time around with their camera wise and giving the consumers kind of what they're used to, but on a Google level. So now there's no real leaks or rumors about what the screen technology is going to be like with the 5, but if you're looking at the 4, you saw a 90 Hz refresh rate with an OLED Full HD resolution or a QHD on the 4XL. So this time I'm kind of hoping that Google ups it to 120 Hz. We've seen phones like Samsung's newest line of phones kind of push that 120 Hz display. I know the battery power is going to take a hit anytime you move the resolution or the refresh rate of the screen up. The battery life naturally will take a hit if they put something in place where users can manually adjust the refresh rate on their phones. Then I think it's kind of a trade-off, but having that 120 Hz refresh rate available for users to select the people who want to have it and don't mind the battery consumption problems, I think it would be a great thing for Google to kind of add into their phone to kind of get them to the same same level of expectations that other phones that are currently out are offering. That's the idea. I think a lot of the times where the Pixel falls short from the expectations that people place on it when Google's releasing a phone, it seems to be lacking features. It seems to be lacking other things that other phones on the market have. So this is Google's opportunity to make sure their phone at least meets the expectation of the consumer, and then use some software ingenuity to exceed the expectations of the consumer. Now, rumors of the processor that's going to be included in this thing is where it kind of gets a little funny, because I've read 3 different type of possible processors that may be included in the Google Pixel 5 that's coming out. They're not sure which one it's going to be. More than likely though, it's going to be the Snapdragon 865 processor, because that's the newest processor that's currently out available on the market, and it just makes sense to put the newest processor in the newest phone that's going to be released, especially since the phone hasn't been released yet and you're expecting that phone to run the latest Android 11 operating system. You don't want your phone on paper to look weaker or less advanced than any other phones that are currently out, and I think Google understands that, so they're probably going to throw that latest processor in the Pixel 5. But let's play devil's advocate really quickly. The other 2 processors that people are rumoring that may be included in the Pixel 5 are the Snapdragon 765G, which is basically a mid-range processor that has the 5G modem integrated. Now, the G variant of the Snapdragon 765 lineup it's optimized really for gaming, so fast graphic rendering, and it supports hardware and software tweaked to better animate mobile gaming. So if they're going in the route of supporting mobile gaming a little bit more, offering some gaming advances for phones, then this will probably be the processor that they want to go with, because it's more configured towards mobile gaming. The reason that makes sense is because they have a little thing called Google Stadia. And Google Stadia is all about gaming, so it would make sense that they have a processor built into their Google phones that would be optimized for gaming on those phones. Not necessarily that that's what they're going to do, it would just make sense, or I would understand why they would go that route. Now, the other processor that's rumored is the Snapdragon 768G processor, and this is essentially a newer version of the 765G, and this chipset features a faster GPU, a boosted clock speed of the main core, and the CPU itself. So this processor would also make a lot of sense because it's boosting a lot of different configurations that will speed up the phone and also be optimized for mobile gaming as well. But I really do think that they're going to be including the latest Snapdragon processor in their phones. It really just makes sense for them to do that. Now, RAM wise, historically Google has been kind of weak when it comes to the RAM that they've included in their phone. The Pixel 4 only had 6 gigabytes of RAM when you have companies like Samsung going with 12 gigs of RAM in their phones. I'm hoping that Google at least puts 8 gigs of RAM in their phones. The optimization of these operating systems are getting better and better, so phones are getting faster and faster. So the RAM plays a role, but it doesn't play a completely intricate role in how the phone overall performs. It's going to be a combination of both hardware and software, but the more RAM, the better. Never hurts to have more RAM in anything. So putting 8 gigs of RAM in this phone would definitely benefit Google in the way of performance, especially if they're looking to optimize their phones for mobile gaming. And I also want them to do a jump in the battery power. I mean, the Pixel 5 should have a better battery than the Pixel 4. The 4 was only equipped with a 2800 milliamp hour battery, and that really hurt the performance of the 4. If you're looking at the 4 XL though, it fared a little bit better because it had a 3700 milliamp hour battery. And that was one of the biggest complaints with the Pixel 4, was the battery was just not there. It was not performing up to standards of other flagships that were currently on the market, and it's because it had a smaller battery. So I really want them to kick up the power on that battery. Battery life is extremely important. I don't care how much optimizations Google puts into their operating systems to kind of get their phones to function and work at a low power level, all the safeguards that they have in place. A bigger battery, you just can't discount having more power and giving a user the ability to get through the full day with a battery that is lasting, or not have to worry about running from charger to charger, or being able to use all these amazing features that come with Android or the Pixel phone itself, but your battery is crapping out halfway through the day. Put a bigger battery in the Pixel 5, Google. Come on. And the Google secret sauce is what they need to include in the Pixel 5, and that's their software. Google is overall a software company. They should lean into that. They're positioned more than any other company on the market to integrate artificial intelligence, artificial learning, computer learning into their mobile device more than Apple or more than Samsung, because that's what they do. That's what they're focused on in their other businesses. So it makes sense to include it in your mobile division as well. I don't think Google's leaned far enough into differentiating itself via software as it should, and that's really the secret sauce that they need to place into these Pixel phones. By leaning into that software arena, it would really differentiate them from all the other competitions that are currently on the market, because hardware-wise, you're not going to be able to really compete with some of the Samsungs and Apples out there, because user expectation is a lot different for those phones than it is for the Pixel phones. But if they can add their Google stamp to it, their Google sauce, and just make the phone different when you turn it on, when you use it, all these features that people just can't live without, your artificial intelligence just learning your patterns and giving you a better overall user experience, this is something that they can actually sell to consumers as a better overall experience with Pixel phones that you're just not getting with an iPhone or a Samsung phone or a OnePlus phone. It just makes sense for them to lean more into making sure that the software is completely differentiated from anything else that's on the market and just looks and feels more advanced. Anyway guys, I'd like to pass the question on to you. What would you like to see Google do differently with the Pixel 5? What would you like to see them include in the Pixel 5 that wasn't in the Pixel 4, or fix that was a problem on the Pixel 4 that you don't want to see be a problem on the Pixel 5? Go ahead and comment in the comment section down below the video, and while you're down there, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button with the subscribe button and that bell for notifications so you don't miss when I release some cool, helpful content like this one. Until next time guys, I'm going to share a video here about the Google Pixel 4a, some information about the release of that phone, and this is something YouTube believes you'd enjoy watching. Guys, thank you so much for checking out the video, and as always, make sure to stay safe. Peace out.